What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to Late's Hoops. Today's video, we're going to be naming the best player at every single position, point guard to center. Obviously, a video like this, it's very opinion based, and there can be multiple answers for each positions. So if you guys have other players or opinions that you see fit at their position, please be sure to leave them in the comments down below. Without further ado, let's get into this video and talk about the reason I'm even making it the best center in the league, Nikola Jokic. The Blazers and the Nuggets game last night actually gave me the motivation to make this video. Jokic for years has been battling with Joel Embiid as, for the title, the best center. I know it's easy to just write it off and give it to Nikola Jokic, seeing that he's won the last two MVPs for the last 2 years, but Embiid does deserve his flowers too. He's just so injury prone, and his dominance, it can be overlooked because of this. For this video though, we are going to overlook that dominance and just say Jokic is just such a deliberate passer. I know it's me stating the obvious, but he just makes his entire team better. Last night's game, he just showed out so big. He was hitting crazy one-legged fadeaways on the baseline, making elite passes when his teammates don't even know the ball's coming to them, and just overall corralling and being that guy. Night in and night out, he is the floor general and leader for this Denver Nuggets team, and it's been really nice to see the high pick and roll with Jamal Murray come back and make its return as Jamal, he's returning from his injury. We didn't see much of that last year, and it was just kind of all Jokic all the time. But now the Nuggets, they have been good to start this year, even with some people, most notably Michael Porter Jr., in and out of the lineup with injury. I'm convinced that Nikola Jokic is so good that you could put him out there for all my 2K players out there. You could put him out there with 460 overalls and he'd still manage to win 45-ish games and finish as the 7 or 8 seed. The ceiling for this Nuggets team, it's honestly something I cannot talk about, but Nikola Jokic is without a doubt the best center in the league. His stats, they're popping up on the screen right now. I don't want this video to be so much about stats, but just more so about the play style and the actual overall ability that these players possessed, which brings me to number 2. We're going to talk about the power forward position, and honestly, without a doubt in my mind, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm sure many of you guys agree. He's just so dominant. I had a tweet this year earlier that just said something along the lines of, you can feel Giannis's presence right when he steps onto the floor. Whether he's starting the game or he's subbing in the second, third, or fourth quarter, it's just undoubtable that this entire Milwaukee franchise revolves around one man, and that man is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Obviously, with the returning of Chris Middleton, there's going to be some growing pains, not in a bad way, but just in a way that every championship team has their scars, and when someone's coming back from such a significant surgery like Chris was going through, we're going to see those scars. But Giannis has done a great job corralling and leading this team, just like I was speaking of with Jokic. Honestly, most of the offensive and defensive capability runs through Giannis, and it's great because you see guys like Brook Lopez stepping up on the defensive side of the ball. You see guys like Grayson Allen stepping up on the offensive side of the ball. It just seems like Milwaukee's gotten to a place in their, I wouldn't call it rebuild, but I guess you would just say gotten to a place in their playing that all the players are starting to, like the Celtics and like the Warriors, just buy into the system and trust that the ball will find the open person. No one's too greedy. While Giannis boasts insane stats, I'll put him up on the screen right now, it's not about that. Like I said with this video, it's just about the overall greatness and the unstoppable nature of these players, which takes me to number 3, the small forward position, where this is where I'm going to have a runner-up, because I would say the best small forward in the league right now, honestly, is Jason Tatum. We've spoken a lot about him on this channel, but the runner-up for me is obviously Kevin Durant. I would also say Kawhi Leonard, but he just does not play enough minutes to be in this conversation. And Kevin, he's been a little bit wishy-washy to start the year. That doesn't mean that Kevin Durant is not great. That doesn't mean that come playoff time, Kevin Durant will not be him. It just means that Jason Tatum has been him every single game this season. Obviously, if you guys watched my last video, you know what Jason's averaging. I'll put it up on the screen right now. And you'd also know that the Celtics are the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and they beat the absolute piss out of the Suns the other night, who were the 1 seed in the Western Conference. They were actually up by 50 at one point. I'm not going to talk too much about Jason. If you guys want to know how I feel directly about that, you can check out my last video. It's popping up on the screen right now. But I just have to give my flowers to Jason and this entire Celtics team, honestly. They look so hungry, like they're already reserving their similar spots back in the finals, or at least the Eastern Conference Finals. It's going to be so exciting to see how the rest of this year plays off and how this entire Eastern Conference playoffs plays off. Honestly, I feel like this is one of the rare years in the last 10 to 15 years where the Eastern Conference could be or is more talented than the Western Conference. However, I think the league's best shooting guard resigns in the Western Conference, and that's Devin Booker, another person I've talked a lot about on this channel. And ironically, he was, in that last video talking about Tatum. If you guys want to check out how I feel about those two players and see all their stats and whatnot, I do highly recommend that you check that video out. It was a great video, and you guys showed some great love on support in it. But as for Devin Booker, I'm just proud mostly of the vocal step he's taken, not only as a leader, but just as a player. Like on the court, off the court, it doesn't matter. He's starting to take that accountability. And the same goes for the coaching staff with Monty Williams. They have some pretty rough losses on this year, I won't lie. But I'm not going to hold the Suns, a team that has won 60 games the last 2 years. I'm not going to hold them under a microscope when they have these small errors, because obviously, like we talked about in the last video, CP3 has missed, over 15 games. Cam Johnson's missed 17 games. Jay Crowder hasn't played a single game. I mean, they got guys in the G League coming out and starting, and that's okay. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the Suns, they're clearly not at full strength. Devin, on the other hand, he has started this season on a tear. Obviously, we know about his efficient shooting nights and his efficient 40, 50-point games. It's just been remarkable to see Devin kind of not revamp his game, but just retune it in the sense that you can just see how hungry he is and how bad he wants it after, making the finals in 2021 and then losing in an awful fashion to Luka and the Mavericks in 2022. I'm just excited to see what this Suns team, has in the tank going forward. Another team I'm excited to see going forward is the team of the league's best point guard. I'm sure you guys could have guessed, Steph Curry. I do have to give my flowers real quick to Damian Lillard. For the last 5 years, you had that argument of, is Steph, is Kai, is Dame the best point guard? We never really knew. Obviously, we knew predominantly that Steph, he had amounted to the most winning and he was just the best. But it was just hard for people to make that argument whilst he was playing with Kevin Durant. And I feel like after winning that ring and solidifying himself as a first-time finals MVP, a lot of the Curry haters just shush up and they, aren't as vocal. Steph Curry, he's obviously the greatest shooter of all time, and the Warriors' offense has been built directly around the attention that he gets on the court. I was just watching Derek White on JJ Redick's podcast last night. If you guys don't know, Derek White plays for the Celtics. And one of the questions JJ asked him was what was it like guarding him in the finals? And he just had a response that was so funny to me. He said he was just paranoid all the time and his head's constantly on a swivel. And that's just the type of attention that Steph Curry draws from other rosters. I mean, you literally just cannot make this stuff up. He is a one-of-one talent, and I advise you guys, if you are a Steph hater or if you're someone who's not the biggest fan of Steph, get over yourself. This guy is 34 years old, and before we know it, we're going to blink and he'll be hanging him up and we'll be seeing number 30 go up in the rafters. And I just can't stress this enough, guys. You have to appreciate the talent on the floor while it's here. Not only is Steph an incredible shooter, but at age 33 and 34, he's also improving on the defensive side of the ball, which is something we never thought we'd see. And I'm really glad to just see that he's putting in the work every day to get better. Even though the Warriors, they have had their woes this year and they're struggling, you can never cross the champs out as contenders until, we get to the playoffs and see them sink. But what do you guys think? Would you rank anyone else at these best positions? If so, please let me know by leaving a comment down below. You guys know I appreciate the support as always. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.